Welcome to the second video on the conflict between Israel and Hamas, which are currently underway. On Sunday, the 16th of May, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu put out a statement thanking 25 countries for their support to Israel at this critical moment. India was not one of them. And by omitting India, Prime Minister Netanyahu is conveying his displeasure at New Delhi. What could be the possible reasons for this omission? Number one, Israel has been extremely friendly towards India in recent weeks. It has sent tons of materials for the COVID relief. And when the Indian caregiver was killed, the body was transmitted quickly to India, and an Israeli diplomat was on hand when it was delivered to the family in Kerala. So therefore, Israel expects certain reciprocity from India, and that was not forthcoming. There were no statement of support, sympathy, or even understanding of Israel from New Delhi since the crisis began. The second thing is, during the UN Security Council deliberations, the Indian diplomat, Mr. Tirumurthy, put out a few positions. He expanded them in the public debate on Sunday. By the way, the statement came after Prime Minister put out the tweet. And in that statement, the Indian representative mentioned the situation in Sheikh, Jarrah and Silwal, and the Israeli attempts to change the status quo as the underlying reasons for the present conflict. In terms of factual narration, one cannot dispute this. But the question is, by explicitly mentioning them, India perhaps irritated Israel. Because in the earlier statement, where the summary was available on Wednesday, India simply said, we reiterated the maintenance of status quo. So therefore, in the public statement, our ambassador could have said, we ask all the parties to maintain the status quo. By saying that position, India could have left the experts and the others to break their heads for their implications. That is, you could have simply spoken less without hurting anybody and communicating the message. India chose not to do it. And third and most importantly, since he became Prime Minister in May 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been meeting, hosting, talking, greeting, and tweeting the Israeli leaders ad nauseum. But since the crisis began, no Indian leader has spoken to the Israeli counterparts. The last time when Prime Minister Modi spoke to Netanyahu was on 1st February. That was shortly after the explosive incident near the Israeli embassy in New Delhi. This call was followed by Foreign Minister Shaikh talking to the Israeli counterpart. Afterwards, there was no direct communication between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Netanyahu. And even if India was unable to express its sympathy to Israel at this moment due to political and diplomatic compulsions, Prime Minister Modi could have called Netanyahu and spoken to him. Something the Prime Minister chose not to. Partly because of the COVID pandemic and the management of the crisis, and partly because the South Bloc did not thought it appropriate for the Prime Minister to intervene at this point of time. In either way, by explicitly omitting India in the list of countries to whom Netanyahu was grateful, the Israeli Prime Minister has conveyed his displeasure. it might take some time for India to do some damage control measures. Thank you for watching.